The twin suns of Virith Prime were falling behind the blue metal mountains, and the evening air carried the sound of drums and fire rings. The humans called it the Festival of Strength. The Virith called it the night of choosing. No human had ever taken part in it before he stood near the edge of the gathering, a simple technician from Earth. His name was Mark, and he believed this night would pass like any other. He was here only to repair the power conduits for the translator towers. Nothing more, nothing less, but destiny moved toward him like a storm he could not seethe. Virith tribe filled the valley. Tall silver-skinned warriors with glowing marks across their arms. Each mark a story, each story a victory. They stood proud under the rising moons, their armor shining with colors not found on Earth. Voice rose from the center of the crowd. Soft, yet strong, Arikala, princess of the Virith. Many believed she would one day lead her people. Her presence made the flames bend, as if they knew her spirit. She walked past the Virith warriors, past the elders, past the chosen males who hoped to stand beside her. She kept walking slow, certain each of her steps echoing across the stone. Groundmark felt the crowd begin to watch him. He felt heat rise on his skin. He did not understand why he held a tool pack in his hands. He was not a warrior. He was not specialary. Kala stopped right in front of him. Every voice in the valley faded. Every drum stopped. The world fell still, her golden eyes locked on him as if she saw something inside him that he did not see in himself. She raised her handi choose him. The valley shook with shock. The Virith murmured. The humans stared. Even Mark froze, unable to speak, unable to breathe. The human chosen as mate by a Virith princess. It had never happened before. Mark tried to speak. His voice failed. He nodded instead because his mind could not shape a single word. The tribe elder stepped forward, his armor carried hundreds of battle marks. He looked at Arikala, then at Mark. The choice is sacred, he said. But tradition is older than choice. Before a mate can be accepted, he must face the first trial. He must face her sister's shadow moved behind Arikala, greater than her, heavier than her presence. Like a living mountain, Sorikala, the elder sister, champion of 12 wars, guardian of the royal bloodline. No Virith had ever defeated her in ritual combat. She stepped into the firelight, her armor black as night, her eyes burning with the heat of 1,000 battles. She studied Mark as if weighing his entire soul. This is the one you choose. Her voice carried no hatred, only curiosity mixed with challenge. Arikala nodded with firm grace. He carries a spirit that is not afraid to stand alone. She said he carries truth in his eyes. Kala walked closer until Mark could feel the power of her presence like a physical force. She towered over him. She looked down at him, not with cruelty, but with expectation. If he wishes to stand at your side, he will stand against me tomorrow. This is our tradition. This is our honor. Mark felt the weight of 1,000 alien eyes on him. He knew the humans behind him expected him to refuse. He knew fear was crawling up his spine. He was a technician, not a fighter yet. Arikala looked at him with quiet hope. Mark forced his voice to resign. We'll face the trial if that is your way. I will stand, the crowd roared. Some in disbelief, some in excitement. Arikala touched his shoulder with gentle strength. You will not face it alone. I will guide you. I will show you our ways. Sarikala stepped back into the shadows, her voice echoing through the valley. Prepare yourself, human. Tomorrow you face me. And tomorrow the truth of your heart will be known. The drums started again. The flames rose higher, but Mark felt only the thunder inside his chest. Tonight he was a technician. Tomorrow he would stand before a warrior unmatched in all the tribes. And everything that happened next began with one moment, one choice. Her choice. Night fell across Virith Prime as twin moons rose over the stone valley and painted everything in silver light. Mark stood near the training grounds, feeling the cold ground under his boots. He had agreed to face Sarikala, and now the reality was rising inside him like a storm. His heart beat harder with every breath. He did not know if it was courage or fear guiding him. Maybe it was both. Harikala appeared beside him, her steps soft, yet carrying the calm strength of her people. She studied him for a moment, as if sensing the heaviness in his thoughts. She said yes to the trial. She said few humans would dare that step. Few. Virith would dare it as well. Mark looked at her armor, shaped like liquid metal and glowing with faint patterns. Her presence alone felt like light in the dark. I said yes because you chose me, he answered, even if I do not fully understand why. Kala nodded with gentle pride. My sister seems like a mountain standing in your path, she said. But mountains can be climbed. She will test your spirit, not just your strength. The distance, a heavy sound echoed across the training field. A giant stone gate opened, and Sarikala stepped out. The air seemed to tighten around her. Her armor was darker than night. Her long silver hair moved like cold fire. Her shadow stretched across the ground like the shadow of a beast from a forgotten world. She was power, she was presence, she was everything Mark feared and respected. Arikala, whispered she, never lost a trial. Not once, not even as a young warrior. Some say she was born with the spirit of battle inside her. Sarikala walked toward them, each step causing the ground to vibrate. The other Virith warriors fell silent. Even the wind seemed to wait for her words. She stopped an arm length from Mark, her eyes sharp like twin suns. She looked at him without anger, just deep interest, as if she wanted to read every hidden part of his soul. So, this is the human who thinks he can stand before me, she said, her voice strong. Like thunder rolling over mountains, Mark felt the weight of her gaze. He felt small before her, but he did not step back. He forced his legs to stay firm. He forced his voice to reside. Do not think I can defeat you, he said. But I will face you, I will. Honor your way. For a moment, she stared at him without a word. Then something unexpected happened. A faint spark of amusement touched her eyes. Good. She said, truth has value in my clan. She turned and pointed to the training pillars rising from the ground. If you wish to live through the trial, you must learn our movements, not the strength, the rhythm. Every Virith strike follows a pattern. Every pattern has an opening. Arikala smiled softly. This is more help than she offers most challengers. Sarikala gave a stern glance. Do not mistake this for mercy, she said. If he enters the trial unprepared, he will die too quickly. A worthless end teaches nothing. No. Training began. Sarikala moved with speed that Mark could barely follow. She taught him how Virith warriors shift their stance, how they read their opponent, how they strike with the entire body, not just the arm. She attacked without warning, not enough to break him, but enough to throw him on the ground again and again. Dust clung to his clothes. Sweat burned in his eyes, pain pulsed through his muscles. But he stood every time he rose with shaking arms. He rose because Arikala watched with steady faith. He rose because Sarikala respected only those who refused to stay down after long hours. The moons hung high and pale above them. Sarikala finally stepped back. You're slow, she said, your body weak, but you have, will you do not run. This matters more to our people than your size or your skill. Mark breathed hard. He felt exhaustion press on him, yet he felt something else as well. A strange fire in his spirit. A growing strength he never knew he carried. Sarikala pointed to the horizon where the suns would rise soon tomorrow. At first light the trial begins. If you face me with fear, you will fall. If you face me with purpose, you may stand long enough to learn why my sister chose you. Arikala placed her hand on Mark's shoulder. Her touch warm, gentle, full of belief. Now, she said, tomorrow decides everything. Mark looked at the sky glowing with alien stars. He knew the path ahead was dangerous. He knew he might not survive, but something inside him had awakened. A spirit rising, a courage shaped by faith, a fire born from the honor of being chosen. Then, as the cold night wrapped around him, he whispered a promise to himself. Will stand *. The first light of dawn touched the stone valley of Virith Prime. Soft gold spread across the ground as if the suns themselves wished to witness the trial. Mark stood at the entrance of the great arena. His hand shook slightly, not from cold, but from the weight of what waited inside Kala stood beside him, her presence calm like flowing water. She watched him closely, as if she could see the battle happening inside his heart. Fear is natural, she said, but fear is not your enemy. Let it sharpen you, not weaken you. Her words settled inside him like warm fire. He nodded, though no word left his mouth. The arena gates opened with a deep echo that rolled across the valley like the roar of a great beast. Mark stepped inside. The ground was covered in black sand. Strange floating stones drifted above the arena floor, glowing with soft blue light. Alien symbols burned on the walls, forming shifting shapes and shadows. At the highest ledge stood the Virith elders. At their side stood Kala, tall, unshaken, and silent. Her dark armor reflected the morning light. Her eyes locked on him, not with cruelty, but with expectation. The elder raised his staff. The trial of instinct begins. Now, Mark heard whispers among the Virith. Some said no human would survive even the first test. Others said the princess made a foolish choice. Mark tried to shut out their voices. He focused only on his breath. The black sand under his feet began to move. He felt the ground tremble. The floating stones glowed brighter. The air grew thick. A strange cold touched his bones. This is not a battle of the body, Kala had said. The night before this trial speaks to the mind. Many warriors fall here without a single strike. A sharp wind howled through the arena, and shadows rose from the sand. They twisted into shapes tall, dark, familiar. The first illusion took form. Mark saw Earth not as he knew it, but broken and burning. Cities, falling skies red with fire. Human voices crying out. He felt pain. He felt guilt. You left them, the illusion whispered. You abandoned your world. Mark stepped back. His heart tightened. He felt the vision pulling him into despair. Another shape rose beside the first. Kala fading into dust, her hand reaching out, her voice breaking. You failed me. Mark fell to one knee. The illusions grew stronger. The air turned colder. The arena whispered with doubts. Every fear he had ever buried rose like living shadows. Kala watched without emotion. The elders waited for him to break. Many Virith warriors had fallen long before this point. Mark closed his eyes. He remembered Kala's words, do not fight the vision. Understand it, accept. Eth took a deep breath. He let the fear wash over him. Instead of running from it, he stepped toward it. Toward the burning earth, toward the fading Kala, toward every failure his mind held. I did not abandon my world, he said. I left to build a bridge between us. And if I fall trying to protect something beyond myself. The illusions flickered, the shadows trembled. He reached out his hand toward the fading figure of Kala. Not with desperation, but with truth. I will not fail you, because I will not run from what I fear. The illusions shattered like glass hit by light. The arena fell silent. The black sand stilled. The cold faded from the air. Mark stood in the center, breathing hard, but standing. The elder raised his staff again. The human passes the first. Trial whispers spread across the arena. Shock, respect, curiosity. Kala smiled with pride. Kala studied him with new attention. Not approval, not yet, but recognition. She stepped forward, her voice powerful across the arena. The trial of instinct. It's only the beginning now. The true test begins now. You face Mitha. Arena gates leading to the combat ring opened. A deep red light poured through them, cold and sharp, like the edge of a blade. A luck, a blade of a look, a blade arise. Remember you have heart stronger than metal. Mark nodded. Fear tried to rise again, but now he understood it. Now he walked with it. Not against. Ith stepped toward the red light, toward the duel that waited, toward Kalatha. First trial had tested his mind. The next would test everything else. And as the gates closed behind him, he whispered to himself, Will stand asterisk the combat arena of Virith. Prime rose like a giant stone circle under a sky of twin suns. Red light washed over the walls, giving the place a fierce glow as if the ground itself waited for battle. Mark stepped inside, feeling the air grow heavier with every step. Here, the trial of instinct ended. Here the trial of strength began. Serikala stood at the center, her presence sharp as a blade, her armor dark and alive, with glowing patterns that pulsed like a heartbeat. She held no weapon. Her hands alone were enough to defeat any warrior of her Tribavirith warriors filled the surrounding platforms, watching in absolute silence. Arikala stood among them, her eyes filled with steady faith. She did not call out. She did not speak. She simply watched, believing he would rise to this challenge. Elder lifted his staff. His voice rolled like thunder across the arena. The second trial begins. Show your spirit. Human of Earth Serikala raised her hand and pointed at Mark. There was no anger in her voice, only the calm certainty of a warrior who had never known defeat. Come forward. Let me see what you carry inside. Mark breathed once deep and slow, then he stepped into the center of the arena. Serikala moved first. Her speed left a trail of swirling dust in the air. Her strike came without warning, a downward blow strong enough to crack the stone floor. Mark jumped aside, barely escaping the force. The ground split where her fist hit. Dust exploded upward. The Virith crowd roared with awe. Mark steadied himself. He had no weapon, only human instincts. Human will, human creativity. Serikala came again, a spinning sweep aimed at his legs. He stumbled, fell, rolled across the sand. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he forced himself up. Serikala watched him rise with a slight tilt of her head. Good. Stand again. Stand until your spirit speaks louder than your fear. She rushed toward him with another strike. Mark dodged barely. Her elbow skimmed his chest. The impact sent shock through his ribs. It felt like a hammer wrapped in lightning. She tried to counter with a punch, but she caught his wrist and threw him across the arena like he weighed nothing. He slid across the sand. Dust filled the air. Arikala stepped forward at the edge of the ring, her voice calm and strong. Remember, the Virith protect their center line, but leave the left side weak. After a forward strike, Mark rose again, breathing rough, heart pounding like a trapped drum. Serikala charged, her steps thunderous, her shadow long. Mark watched, waited. At the last moment, he stepped sideways. Her strike cut through the air, powerful but predictable. He remembered Arikala's words. He moved to her left, her blind angle, her vulnerable line. He placed a hand on her armor. Light touch. Not a blow, not a challenge, a message. Can reach you, I can learn your rhythm. The arena gasped. Warriors whispered. Even the air felt shocked. Serikala froze. She looked down at his hand on her armor. Then she stepped back and lifted her head. A strange expression passed over her face. Not anger, not insult. Something else. Respect in its first shape. She spoke, her voice steady, interesting. You use thought, not power. You watch, you adapt. This is rare among your kind. Mark wiped dust from his face. His body shook, every muscle burned. But he stood tally. Am not stronger than you, he said. But I will keep moving until I find a way to stand in front of you. Serikala stepped forward, her shadow falling over him. Then learn this. The first round tested your ability to survive. The second round will test your will to live. The elder raised his staff once more. The first round is complete. Prepare for the next. Weapons will be allowed. The danger is real. The risk is finally. Cold wind swept across the arena. Floating stones glowed brighter. A rack of energy blades rose from the ground, their edges humming with raw power. Serikala reached for a blade. It lit up with deep red fire. She spun it once in her hand. The air rippled around it. Mark stepped toward the rack. His hand shook as he reached for a weapon. He felt heat pulse from the blade, as if testing his worthery. Kala watched with a fierce hope, her voice whispering across the arena, despite the distance, you have already shown courage. Now show heart. Mark lifted the blade. It hummed in his hand, alive, heavy, with purpose. Kala pointed her weapon toward him. The next round begins with the rising of the suns. Prepare yourself, human, for now I will strike with true strength. Mark faced her fear rose, but behind it stood something stronger. He whispered to himself, Phil will stand. Man, the arena felt ready to witness the storm that would follow. The twin sons of Virith Prime rose higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the arena floor. Red light spilled across the stone walls, and the air felt sharp like a blade waiting to taste battle. Mark stood at the center, gripping the humming energy blade in his hand. Its glow pulsed against his palm, as if sensing the fear and determination racing through his blood. Across from him stood Sarikala, her armor dark as night, her blade glowing with deep red fire. She looked like a warrior carved from ancient storms. No anger in her eyes, no hatred, only fierce purpose. The elder raised his staff, his voice echoed like falling mountains. The second round begins. This is the round of death. Only true spirit will survive. Sarikala stepped forward with slow, controlled movement. Every step, measured, every breath steady. The arena fell silent as she lowered her stance, ready to strike. Mark tightened his grip. He felt sweat forming on his back. He knew this round was no trial of illusion, no test of patience. This was real. This was danger. A single wrong move would end everything. Sarikala spoke, her voice calm as cold wind. If you fear this fight, you will fall. If you fear your own strength, you will fall faster. Show me what lives inside you, human. She vanished. Or, at least, that is how it felt. One heartbeat she stood before him. The next she appeared beside him. Her blade swung with thunder force. Mark barely raised his weapon. The clash sent a shockwave through his arm. Pain shot through his shoulder. He stumbled, but did not fall. The Virith crowd roared at the impact, their eyes bright with excitement and disbelief. A human standing against their champion. It had never been seen. Sarikala struck again. Second blow, faster, harder. Mark ducked, rolled, felt heat from the blade pass over his head. He rose shakily, his breath sharp. He swung his blade, not with strength, but with movement, a horizontal sweep. Sarikala deflected it with ease. Sparks of red light burst between weapons. She stepped forward, her elbow struck his chest. He flew back. Sand scattered around him. Sarikala stepped closer to the edge, her voice reaching him like a warm thread of courage. Do not match her power, match her rhythm, break her pattern. Use what makes you human. Mark forced himself to rise. His ribs burned, his arms shook, but he lifted his blade again. He watched Sarikala, her stance, her breathing, her footwork. She moved again. This time with a series of quick strikes, diagonal, vertical, sweeping low. Each one deadly. Mark dodged as best he could, sometimes deflecting, sometimes taking glancing hits that burned his skinny. Final strike hit his side. His vision blurred. He nearly fell to his knees, but he pressed a hand to the ground, stabilizing himself. He refused to fall. Sarikala paused. She studied him, a warrior reading another warrior. You break, but you do not shatter. Interesting. Mark breathed hard. He saw her preparing another sequence, this one more advanced. A finishing pattern used only for foes she respected. He whispered to himself, cannot win, but I can stand. And standing is enough. Sarikala lunged. Her blade moved in a powerful arc. Mark waited until the last moment. Then he stepped inside her reach. Her blade passed behind him. He placed his hand on her shoulder armor, then tapped his blade flat against her side knot. A killing blow, not a victory, but a statement. I am still here. The arena gasped. The elders leaned forward. Sarikala smiled with fierce pride. Sarikala froze. She looked at him with wide, sharp eyes, something like surprise flickering through them. She stepped back slowly, her blade lowering. She exhaled a sound deep with meaning. You are not strong, not fast, not skilled, but you carry will. The kind of will our people honor. Mark almost collapsed, his legs shaking, but Sarikala held out a hand. She did not help him, she simply acknowledged him. The round is not finished, she said, but you have earned my respect. Few ever reached this point before. She could continue. A sudden tremor shook the arena, the ground cracked, sand jumped into the air, shadow fell across the valley. A metallic roar echoed from above the Virith warriors. Turned toward the sky, a dark ship descended, breaking through the clouds, its hull covered with strange symbols, weapons glowing with hostile light. Kala stepped forward, her eyes wide with shock. The raiders, they returned. Siri Kala tightened her grip on her blade, her voice hard as iron. The trial pauses, a new battle begins. Mark stood beside her, breathing through pain, lifting his blade once more. The deadly round was not over, but now something far worse had come for them. The sky of Virith Prime darkened as the raider ship descended with thunder force. Its shadow swept over the arena, turning the red sand into a field of gloom. The humming of its engines vibrated through the stone walls. Every Virith warrior raised their head in alert silence. The trial between Mark and Siri Kala stopped, as if frozen in time air. Kala stepped toward the center, her golden eyes fixed on the enemy ship, her breath steady, yet filled with rising worry. She spoke in a voice that carried across the arena. The raiders return, they seek something, or someone. Siri Kala moved beside Mark, her presence towering, her armor glowing faint with battle energy. She stared at the falling ship with sharp, unwavering focus. "This is no trial," she said. "This is real war. Stand ready, human." Mark tightened his grip on the energy blade. Pain still burned across his ribs and shoulders, his breaths uneven, yet a strange fire rose inside him. He had survived the trial so far. He had stood against the strongest warrior of the Virith. He would stand now, as well. The raider's ship landed with a violent tremor. Dust exploded, metal creaked, a ramp slammed down, and armored figures stepped out. Tall and wrapped in black plating, their helmets shaped like broken skulls, their weapons glowing with cold blue energy. The Virith warriors roared their challenge there. Bodies moved into battle formation. Ari Kala stepped forward, her spear igniting with bright gold flames. Her voice strong and fearless, "You will not take our land. You will not take our people." Raiders answered with a blast of blue energy that tore through a stone pillar. Debris rained down the arena, shook, chaos erupted. Siri Kala ran with lightning speed, her blade slicing through the air. She struck the first raider, armor screeched, blue sparks flew. Mark followed her, though slower. He swung his blade at another raider. The impact sent a shock up his arm, but he pushed through. His body screamed, his spirit roared louder. Kala leaped into the center of the battlefield, her spear spinning in wide arcs. Golden flames sliced through raider armor, her movements a dance of fierce beauty. But the raiders focused on her, their helmets turning, their weapons lifting. They want her. Mark realized, the princess, the chosen leader of the Virith. She was their true target. Siri Kala noticed to her voice thundered across the arena. "Retucked my sister, they come for her." Mark ran toward Ari Kala, his legs weak, his breathing ragged, but he did not slow. A raider aimed at Ari Kala. Mark threw himself forward, his blade clashing against the raider's weapon. The blast struck him, pain surged through his chest. He nearly fell, but he kept his feet planted. Ari Kala turned, her eyes widened with worried fire. Mark, "You are injured?" He shook his head, no words needed. He would not leave her, not while danger touched her shadow. Siri Kala fought beside them, her strikes fast and heavy. She cut through raiders and sent their bodies crashing into the sand. She moved like a storm that refused to break. Her voice, "Heart strong, stand with me. Human, do not fall." Mark swung again, the blade hummed. He struck an exposed gap on a raider's armor. The raider fell. Mark staggered. Ari Kala caught his arm, steadying him. "You fight with heart," she said. No Virith warrior could ask for more. The raiders regrouped, forming a circle there. Weapons aimed, their steps united, a final assault preparing. Siri Kala stepped in front of both Mark and Ari Kala, her armor glowing brighter than before, her body tense with protective fury. "No one takes my sister, not while I breathe." Mark moved beside Her Arikala moved on the other side. 3 stood together, human princess warrior, facing the ring of enemies closing in. The raiders fired. Blue light filled the air. Sarikala blocked the first blast. Arikala deflected the second. Mark intercepted the third. The force pushed him back, but he stayed standing, his blade shaking, his arms burning, but he stood. The Virith warriors charged from behind. Their battle cries breaking the sky, they smashed into the raiders with fury. The arena filled with clash and fire energy and sand screams and courage. Finally, the raider ship engines roared. The ground trembled. The raiders retreated toward the ramp carrying their wounded. They fired one last blast toward Arikala. Sarikala stepped into its path. The blast hit her armor. She fell to one knee. Mark caught her shoulder. Arikala knelt beside her. Sarikala breathed hard. They tried to take you. They will come again. Arikala touched her sister's arm, her voice soft yet burning with protectiveness. And next time we'll be ready. Mark looked at the raider ship rising into the sky. Smoke trailing behind. The battle had ended, but something deeper had begun. A war that reached beyond their world, a threat aimed at the Virith, at Arikala. At him he stood, with the sister's blood on his hands, dust on his face, pain in every bone, but his heart stronger than ever. He whispered, "I will stand." The raider ship vanished into the sky, leaving trails of smoke across the rising light of the twin suns. Silence settled over the arena, a silence heavy with dust, with pain, with victory. Mark stood between Arikala and Sarikala, his breath slow, his body trembling, but his spirit burning bright like a flame refusing to die. The Virith warriors gathered around them. Their armor cracked, their weapons glowing faint, their faces marked with the respect only earned through battle. Whispers filled the air. Human had stood beside the royal sisters. A human had faced death without retreater. Kala knelt beside Sarikala, who still rested on one knee, her armor scorched by the blast she had taken. Arikala touched her sister's arm with a soft strength. "Sister, are you able to stand?" Sarikala gripped her blade and rose slowly, pain etched across her face. Yet she rose with the unbroken pride of a warrior who had never bowed in defeat. "A stand," she said, "and because of him we still breathe." She turned her gaze toward Mark, her eyes no longer cold, no longer testing. They held something new, recognition, respect, and something deeper. Mark lowered his blade, his arms weak, his voice refuse. "Protected your sister. I only did what was right." Sarikala stepped closer, her towering presence no longer a wall, but a shield around him. "You did not fight because of duty. You fought because your heart chose to. This is strength beyond rules." Rikala smiled, her eyes warm like golden starlight. "To have done more than survive our trials. You have walked into danger for our people. You have stood beside us, not as outsider, but as equal." The elder of the Virith raised his staff, its glowing symbols brightening the entire arena. His voice echoed with ancient weight. The trial must reach its end. A decision must be made. Mark felt the world tighten around him. Everything he had faced, every step, every fear had led to this moment. Sarikala turned to the elder, her voice firm like a mountain rising from the earth. "Hear my judgment. This human has shown the 3 truths of our honor. He stands when he breaks, he protects what he values, he does not fear the path of spirit." The arena grew silent. Warriors leaned forward. Arikala held her breath. Sarikala continued, "Accept him. He may stand at my sister's side. Not by victory, not by strength, but by heart." A roar rose across the arena, a sound of approval, a sound of acceptance. The Virith warriors struck weapons against their armor. A salute given only to those who earned true honor. Arikala stepped toward Mark. She took his hand in hers. "Warm and steady, you are chosen not only by me, but by our way, by our people, by fate that saw your spirit long before you did." Mark felt his breath catch. He never imagined himself here on a world of alien stars, surrounded by warriors, being accepted by a tribe older than human history. Arikala lifted His hand for all to see, her voice strong. This human stands as my mate by my choice, by my faith, by his own courage. Cheers rose like fire. Light flooded the arena. Mark felt the weight of their respect settle on him, a weight he was willing to carry. Sari. Kala placed her hand on his shoulder, her touch firm, her voice low enough only he and Ari Kala could hear. Guard my sister, guard her with the same fire you showed today, for enemies rise beyond our sight, and danger will return stronger than before. Mark nodded, no fear in his eyes, only resolve, only promise. I will stand beside her no matter what comes. Ari Kala smiled, a smile filled with hope and fierce affection. Then our future begins today.